All right, let's start going over the quiz. There's a couple that I keep seeing struggles with. So we're on section 3 and 4. Question number 3. What is the union of two distinct rays with a common endpoint? Number 3. Okay, and let's, I like it. A, B, and C. All right, so what do you know the union of two distinct rays with a common endpoint from your quiz? So we have, if we think about that, like we could draw it, and we know it's a union, so they're coming together, right? And it's two distinct rays. They have a common endpoint. So if I have this ray, my other ray has to have that same endpoint. So what is that? An angle. Yeah, that was an angle. I saw some, that was a struggle for some. Let's look then at 4. These set operations were some that really were a struggle. So state the result of each set operation. So what's this one saying? What is RS?
RS is the ray between R, or the R to S.
Okay, so it's not R to S. It starts at R though, right? And it keeps going. It goes through S and it keeps going. That's what can be kind of tricky. Is R included or is it excluded?
Excluded.
It's included because it starts at R, right? Like we don't draw the circle, like the endpoint, but it is there when it just has that line. So it is included. So R to S would be R and the ray goes this way, the whole thing. How about the next one that says ST?
I get these now. T to S would go the other way.
T to S, it would go the other way. Mm-hmm.
Oh wait, I was looking at the wrong one. Sorry. S to T, so it start at S and go.
Does it include S?
Yes.
No.
Because this says ST and there's a circle and then the line. So everything, I know, right? It's the little details. So S is actually not included in that.
What are you talking about?
Hmm?
No, you don't put an open circle over it. You put RT.
Okay, and so it says, what is the union? Union means where they intersect or where they or like we're bringing them together. Where we're bringing them together. So we're combining them. So what do they combine to be? Okay, so RT. All right, we can use RT. And what do I call it? Is it a segment? Is it a ray? Is it a half line? It's a ray. Do we agree that it's a ray?
Yeah. It's a line.
Okay, so the half line, ST is a half line. The half line has the circle. The ray has the endpoint. So the question is R included? Yes. So is it an endpoint? So does that make it a ray or a half line? It's a ray. So RT. Or you could have named it RS. Either of those would have been right. But you have to get that it's a ray, the symbol that it's a ray, not a half line and not a segment. Okay, it's that whole thing. A segment, the notation for a segment would just be this, right? Because it has a starting point and an end point. Versus the ray, then it's a line. It has to have the arrows on it. And then there's the half line, where the endpoint isn't included. All right, good questions. How about B? RT, let me erase my work here, actually, all this mumbo jumbo. Okay, so RT this time, segment, half line, line, ray? Ray, okay, so it starts at R, which means R is included because it's a ray, and it goes to T. And then it says intersection, right? Yeah. Okay, of TS. What is TS?
So T and it goes through S through R.
Okay.
It's a ray.
And it's a ray. So T is included or excluded? Included. So that line goes that way.
So intersection, would it be just line RT?
Okay, line RT means it keeps going each way, like you got arrows.
It does. No, it doesn't. It's a segment.
It's a segment. So on this one, the intersection, what they have in common is strictly between R and T. That's all they have in common. So the answer here would be a segment RT. But the notation in geometry is imperative. You have to use the correct notation or your answer is wrong. All right, so let's look at the plane one and like break this one down a little bit too. So it says state the result of each set operation. So H1, what does H1 stand for?
I don't know.
The half plane. Because remember,
Yeah, oh,
the line
that line keeps going across it.
and crosses it, so it cuts it in half. And remember anytime we separate anything, that creates 3 disjoint sets. So there's the line, the half plane, and the other, like half plane 1 and half plane 2. Okay, so what is the intersection of half plane 1 and half plane 2? P is the name of the plane. Right, so the whole plane is P.
Yeah, but
So just the M.
when I said line M, you said it was wrong.
Correct.
Then I don't know.
It's nothing.
It's what? Not, nope, not all but line M, because they don't intersect, because we're intersecting. Where do they overlap? Where do they meet?
They don't.
They don't meet. Okay, that's the hard part, because you're like, how do they not meet at the line? Right? But this one, H2, comes all the way up to the line, but doesn't include the line, just like the half line. It comes all the way up to the point, but doesn't include it. The other half plane, because it creates 3 disjoint sets. I know, it's obnoxious.
So it's like, think of a building, somebody's inside, somebody's outside. They're at the building wall. But
That's a
they're not
great comparison.
together.
But that is a good comparison. Or somebody like, like you're in the car and outside the car, but nobody is the car. Right? Yeah. So this one, the result would be an empty set, which you could write like this, or you could, well, that was terrible. Or you could just write it as, oh my gosh. Apparently, I can't write a brace today. There we go. Or you could have an empty brace. But I would just go with, there's no answer. There's nothing there. All right. Then, does that make sense a little bit now? Because it'd be the same way if we join 2 half lines. The point is not there where they intersect because the point is not included. All right. And then I think most everybody got the bottom one, the intersection or the union, as H2, so I'm not worried about that. Any others that were really didn't understand? Okay, perfect.